Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of How to Survive Survival. This week's guest is actually someone I have learned to know fairly well in her story through working with Soul Speak Press, my publishing company for memoir writers. It's Darlene Lekowski. She has really just such an incredible story of resilience and survivorship. She was sexually abused as a child by two of her brothers. And when she went to them, when it finally became too much for her to carry the secret when she was in her 50s, all she wanted was some acknowledgement and some validation and an apology. And instead, she got slapped with a lawsuit. Yeah. So the story is incredible. And Darlene's commitment to her purpose of healing to be the best version of herself is something that I really find extraordinary because it takes a lot of courage to one, survive what she has survived, and to continue on healing and taking care of business, taking care of the things that needed to be taken care of so that she could be a healed, contributing member of society and turn her pain into a contribution for the world. So without further ado, I'm going to hand this over to my conversation with Darlene. I know you're going to be inspired and encouraged by her fortitude and tenacity. Hi, I'm Jessica Buchanan, and this is How to Survive Survival. This podcast is about what comes after the crisis, after the moment that changes everything, after you've done what you had to do just to get through. Each week, I sit down with people who faced hardship and made a deliberate choice about what to do with it. People who've turned pain into purpose, who found a way to make meaningful contribution because of what they survived, not in spite of it. Because survival isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of who you become next. Welcome to the show. Darlene, it's so nice to have you on How to Survive Survival. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to have a conversation with you, Jess.
Great. So, why don't you give us a little bit of context around your story? Again, I don't ever want anybody to think that I believe there's just one main story of our lives, recognizing we have a multitude of traumas and stories and things that we've survived. But there is one ginormous big T trauma that you endured that led you into the surviving survival space that we'll talk about in a few minutes. If you wouldn't mind sharing, just to give our audience a little bit of context.
Sure. So for me, I was betrayed by the world at 7 years old.
Mm,
So starting at seven, two brothers who were supposed to protect their little sister, take care of me, instead sexually abused me from the ages of 7 to 12.
goodness.
And at a very, very young age, I decided to take that trauma and put it in a box.
Hmm.
I thought that if I shoved it away and I didn't talk about it and I didn't tell my parents and I didn't deal with it,
Hmm.
the trauma would go away.
Hmm.
But in 2021, after my mom died and my dad had dementia, because I vowed I would never tell my parents,
Hmm.
the box exploded. I
Yeah.
got in a huge fight with one of the brothers because
Hmm.
trauma never stays in a box.
No, it's
It
always going to
leaves.
come for us. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I call it
That
my
I know.
leaky box. Yeah, I
Yeah.
had PTSD for 50 years and I didn't
Mm,
even know I had
mm,
it.
mm,
But I confronted one of the brothers. I was hoping to get a sincere apology,
hmm.
validation for what he'd done to me all those years, Jess.
All you
Instead,
wanted was an apology.
yes, that's all I wanted. Just say you're sorry. Admit to what you did. It's 50 years
Yeah.
later. Mom and dad are gone.
Right.
Just validate me.
Yeah.
You know what happened instead?
Tell me.
He handed me a lawsuit.
Okay. Not exactly the response you were looking for, or I would imagine expecting, correct?
Not at all. No.
Yeah.
And what was so hard for me is I was willing to forgive. He'd become a
Yeah.
decent man. He had
Right.
children. I'm like, I
Mm,
wasn't out to ruin his life, but
right.
if you turn around and sue me, I felt like I just didn't have a choice but to defend the truth. And that's what I did. And I
Yeah.
took it all the way to the stand.
So, okay. So he slaps you with a lawsuit for what exactly?
So defamation of his
Okay.
character because we had
Because,
Go ahead. Yeah.
Because you had asked him for an apology?
Well, there was a text message argument. He
Mm-hmm.
hands his phone over to his wife. Little did I know that puts me in liable and slander because I'm calling her husband a rapist,
Okay.
which she is,
Mm-hmm.
And then after things calmed down, I wrote a letter to all three of my brothers. Just it was called The Facts. And I said, this
Mm-hmm.
is what it is. This is what happened to me. It was buried for 60 years. I'm not going to keep this secret buried anymore. And then that's when I got the lawsuit. But she threatened me the very day of the text that they were going to
Okay.
sue me.
Oh my God.
I know.
It's so unbelievable. How did the other two brothers respond?
Well, so that's a really interesting story. The older brother, one of the ones
Yeah,
that
one
had
of the
abused
perpetrators.
me,
Yeah.
yeah, he actually apologized. The one who
Wow.
sued me didn't get to him yet. So he said, "Yeah, I'm terrible. I can't believe I did this. Validation, everything
Mm-hmm.
I wanted. I apologized. He apologized. I told
Mm-hmm.
him I loved him. But sadly, Jess, when it became public with the other brother and the rest of the
Uh-huh.
family, he said, "Oh no, I didn't do any of it either."
Okay. All right. Okay. No surprise there. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, take us to take us to court if you don't mind. And we don't have to get really detailed, but I do feel like it's important for our listeners to understand the full scope of what actually happened before we move into the space of surviving survival.
sure. So I know the truth. I
Yeah.
am ready to defend it. I am
Mhm.
not going to be treated like shit anymore, if you will,
Right.
Jess.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Silenced. Yeah.
I'm not going to be silenced anymore. And
Yeah.
you pushed me too far.
Yeah.
And I tried to mediate, tried to negotiate, went into mediation. I'm like, look, you've made me spend thousands of dollars on legal fees. I'm not walking away unless you
Right.
give me something to recover from that.
Hmm.
He offered me $1. And I said, buddy, I'll see you in court. I'm not
Yeah.
doing this.
Yeah. How
So,
insulting. I mean, the whole
yes.
thing is just like, it makes my blood boil. I'm sure everybody you tell this story to, every woman you tell this story to, it makes their blood boil. So, okay. So then you go to court and,
I'm on the stand, and the lawyer does the typical, oh, why didn't you tell? Why didn't
right,
you show your mom
right,
your clothing? Why didn't
right.
you do this? And I swear to you, Jess, I took everything in my bones to
Mm,
survive on that
mhm.
stand.
Mm,
If there was any time I needed to win, it was
yes,
during me being on the stand.
yes.
So all of that stuff I had buried and all of the control, the need to win, the hypervigilance
Hmm.
worked so well for me on the stand. And on February 5th, 2024, a jury of 12 in less than an hour said I won. I countersued him for defamation as well. So I won both cases.
I mean, did you ever expect that?
Well, when I went to the deposition, I felt pretty darn good. I had
Right.
six girlfriends who I told over the years. Remember, I
Hmm.
talked about I had
Hmm.
PTSD and I didn't know it?
Right.
There were different trauma triggers over the years. So my girlfriends stood up for me. I swear to God, they saved my life.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
said, yes, she said this to me 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I also had a therapist who had a document that
Hmm.
said she talked about these brothers back in 2005. So
Wow.
while
Okay.
my lawyers said you never know with a jury, I mean, look at we just witnessed
Hmm.
it in America,
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
P. Diddy thing and
Hmm.
that mess. My lawyer warned me my trial could be so devastating that a jury could not believe me. So I
Hmm.
was always on edge. I was always breathing and hoping and praying, but you never know until that verdict comes down.
And what did it feel like when you got that verdict?
I felt incredible.
Right.
I just such a huge relief.
Hmm.
But then I thought, okay, I won the trial. I'm
Yeah.
healed.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. This is
Yes. It's that euphoric moment, right?
yes,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Yes. For me, it was the rescue. And for 2 weeks, you're like, this is amazing. I'm
Yes.
finally free. And then reality comes crashing down.
Absolutely. And that's what was happening. I
Hmm.
I was still in control. I had to be
Hmm.
in control of everything because if I was in control, I didn't get sexually assaulted.
Yeah.
If I was hyper vigilant, if I was never alone. So
Hmm.
every single tactic I
Hmm.
had as a child to survive, as even
Hmm.
an adult woman to survive in the courtroom,
Hmm.
was literally ruining my life. Because if
Hmm.
you have to have the ability to win, guess
Hmm.
who also becomes your opponent? Your
Everyone around
husband.
you. Yeah.
Yes, your husband, your children. And
Hmm.
so I had a moment with my daughter that I'll never forget. And it's to
Hmm.
this day very hard to forgive myself.
Hmm.
She said that she couldn't have her brother in her life because he had some addiction issues.
Hmm.
And I took that as she was abandoning me because of
Hmm.
my abandonment issues. Those brothers had threatened me if I ever told, I
Hmm.
would lose everything. So
Hmm.
I had a moment where she turned into my brother. I was
Right.
hitting her in the head. I was
Um,
punching her. She was fighting me back. And it was
yeah.
that pivotal moment where I was like, I can't live like this anymore.
Yeah.
I need help. I need to
Yeah.
shed all of this stuff.
Oh my goodness. And what a, first of all, just like such a, that has to have been such a hard moment between the two of you. And then off, an opportunity for incredible reparation, I can imagine. But then like where do you go from there when it's like you've hit you've hit the basement of the bottom,
Yeah.
everything falls out when you were expecting everything to be like just fine from then on because you had survived already. You've spent your entire life surviving. I mean, 7 years old to be in a trauma like that is just, I think it's incomprehensible to most people. And I maintain, again, I'm not a clinician, but trauma experienced by children manifests in such a different way and has such different repercussions than trauma that's experienced by an adult or in adulthood, right?
Yep.
Because you just don't have very many tools. You haven't developed and it's incredible the coping mechanisms that you were able to access as a child and continue on in what this life probably looked a lot to a lot of people as thriving, right?
Hmm.
And probably at times felt like it was thriving.
Yes, I had two personalities, Jess. I had the
Mm,
little Darlene that was put in the box, hidden away, pushed away. And then I
mm,
had the very successful Darlene, the
right.
one that had all the survival tactics, you know.
Mm,
I was a
yeah.
mother of three. I had a successful second marriage, a very, very successful career. On the
Mhm.
outside, everything looked perfect. And I thought perfection meant worth.
Right.
And at the end of the day, what I really had to come to realize was winning the trial, while it was incredibly validating and
Hmm.
was so good for my soul,
Hmm.
I now had to go out and tell my story.
Yeah.
I had to heal myself because everything I was doing, think about it, had been about him and what
Hmm.
he had done to me, defending
Hmm.
myself on the stand. I
Hmm.
needed to turn all of that around and do what I needed for me. What do
Hmm.
I need to be whole? What do I
Hmm.
need to be pure? And I'm
Hmm.
going to reject everyone and everything around me that doesn't serve that purpose.
Hmm.
And that's how you survive survival.
Yeah.
You got to shed. Like I was so angry and so bitter. Like, how dare he put me on the stand? Just like you reacted, right, Jess?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you like get through something like that. I mean, it's so mind-boggling,
Yeah,
really, you
I
know?
know.
And then the fact that, okay, you go through with it, not knowing what the end result is going to be is just proof that we need to be believed, right?
Yes.
We need
Oh my gosh,
somebody
yes.
to believe what has happened to us. And so tell us how you came to, I guess, the realization or the understanding that you needed to tell your story in order to heal. Because I find this fascinating because this has been very much my journey as well. So it totally resonates with me, but it doesn't resonate with everybody. And
Hmm.
so I'd love to hear how you came to that decision, really.
Yeah, I mean, I had the PTSD episode with my daughter. I had another PTSD episode with my husband. I mean, everything around me, I felt like I was walking on shards of glass.
Mm,
And I just couldn't get back up. And every time I got back up, I was using survival mechanisms. And so I just realized enough was enough.
mhm,
In order for me to heal, I have to help others. I want to help
mhm,
others. I
mhm,
don't want any other little girl or little boy, or frankly, I want an adult woman or man to tell
mhm,
their story now. It's never
mhm.
too late. It took me 50 years to tell it,
Yeah.
but that's part of my healing journey. By
Mhm,
helping others, I'm healing myself. I mean, if I was on
mhm,
your podcast a year ago, Jess,
mhm.
I was bawling, I was
Yeah.
crying, but every time I tell my story, every time I talk about it, the shards of glass become like a soft, cushiony pillow, if you will. And
Mhm,
I'm just a completely different person than
mhm,
I was. And even my children are like, Mom, you are so much different. Why
mhm,
didn't you tell us sooner? But
mhm.
it's okay you didn't tell us sooner. We're just
Right.
glad to see you're healing and you're different.
Mhm, mhm. Do you think that if you had, do you wish sometimes that you had done this sooner?
I don't know. I mean, I look back and I think about that little girl and what she went through, but that
Yeah.
was back in the 70s. Nobody talked
Mhm,
about their problems. I mean, I think if maybe I had the resources and the confidence that my 70s parents weren't going to bury it, but
right.
I really thought I was the only one. I
Mhm,
mean, the irony in all of this, Jess, is I was going to take my trauma to the grave. And thank God I didn't, because the trauma doesn't leave you. The trauma can't escape. And by suing me, my brother actually gave me a gift. It was a gift of being released of the burden of the secret and being able to tell my story and being able to write a book and speak publicly about it. I'm actually fortunate that he sued me. Isn't that ironic?
yeah, explain that to us.
So, by suing me and me winning on the stand, I've had three lawyers review my book and every
Mhm,
single piece. And they're like, you've got trial documentation. You can tell your story now without getting
mhm,
sued again.
mhm.
And I was willing to take this to my grave. Like, I
Right.
didn't want, I mean, the problem with being a sexual abuse survivor is
Mhm.
that we take on the shame.
Yeah.
And I was done taking on the shame. The shame isn't ours to carry, it's the
Mm-mm.
perpetrators to carry.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So, I mean, talk about, I mean, it's just kind of a miracle, or whatever word you want to use. I like the word miracle. So for what he meant to harm you turned out to be the thing that set you free.
Absolutely. You nailed it. Isn't that crazy?
I mean, it's just so freaking awesome.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
It's incredible. And
Yeah.
here you are, because of in one act, one simple, single act of bravery, of standing up for yourself in that moment and standing up for little Darlene, you set the wheels in motion, and that
Yeah.
had to have been terrifying, especially as in the way he reacted.
Yeah. The nightmares came back in full force.
Yeah.
Every single thing came back in full force. I mean, I've had lots and lots of therapy to get rid of them. I still have daily nightmares, but they're not like they used to be. It's
Okay.
not being incredibly fearful that I'm going to get murdered or I'm going to,
Mhm.
be attacked in the dark, some of
Yes.
those uncontrollable fears. Now it's more about, okay, my story's out in the open and I'm going to lose everything. So I'm working on that. But
Mhm.
man, I'm just in such a better place than I ever was before.
Mhm.
And I think part of the realization that I had to come to, Jess, was I had thought it was everybody else's problem.
Mhm.
I had to realize what I was doing was part of the problem. And that's really hard to do, to admit to yourself that what I'm doing, with the control, with the
Okay.
bitterness, with the hatred,
Yeah.
and only by releasing all of that, because if I
Mhm.
kept it in, I was going to be alone. My biggest fear was being
Yeah.
alone. And by
Right.
pushing everybody aside, thinking they're the problem, I had to reach deep inside and use my own agency to go, okay, this is it. Time
Mhm.
to heal even more, time to write my book and tell my story.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of things that come to mind when I listen to you say that. The first one is that I was having a conversation with another guest of the podcast, Hillary Phelps, and I at the time of this recording, I don't know when each podcast episode is going to come out, so bear with me if this conversation is preemptive. We'll just allude to, but we were talking about how our purpose is really to heal our pain. Like every single one of us. I believe that that is our purpose in life is to heal and to become the best versions of ourselves in this lifetime that we can be. And then the byproduct of that healing is what turns into service for others, our meaningful contribution and the things that we attach meaning and labels to as purpose, right?
Mhm. Yes.
And that sounds like you totally hit that jackpot because you understood that. So many people do not understand that or they don't want to look at it because to your point, it required you to step into that agency, right? And say, okay, I do have a some level of responsibility here. And there's a very crude phrase. Let's see if I can figure out how to say it like a little bit less crudely. But listen, it's not your fault if you're screwed up or something happened to you, but it's your fault if you stay that way. And by you, I'm just talking about the general
No,
you,
I get it.
right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
There's
like
another phrase.
we
Yeah,
don't we can't control what happens to us, but we do have a responsibility to heal from it. And some of us just have massive more amounts and it just isn't fair,
right,
but
right.
it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's another quote, and you almost said the exact quote. We can't control what happens to us, but we can control what we do with it.
Yes.
And that's what we're doing. That's what we've done. And I've just also come to realize if I'm truly a spiritual being,
Mhm.
nobody can harm me.
Oh,
Yes.
beautiful. Tell me more about that. How did you come to
Yeah.
that realization? I love that so much.
Yeah, because you're a spiritual being. You have a
Yeah.
physical body. Yes, my brothers did terrible things to me physically,
Mhm.
mentally, but I had to come to the realization that they can't get to me, who
Mhm.
I really, really am.
Yeah.
Nobody can touch your soul unless you let them, and I was not letting him touch me and my soul anymore. Like
Mhm.
we're beautiful beings
Yeah.
who have a purpose in this life. And by realizing I'm a spiritual being, to have a purpose now to help others while I'm helping myself,
Mhm.
it's just a complete different attitude and perspective, Jess.
I love that. How did you come to that realization?
I don't know, just a lot of inward
Work.
thinking, a
Yeah,
lot
a
of
lot of
work.
work.
Yeah,
This
a
healing
lot of
stuff is
therapy.
not for the faint of heart. It is so much work, and
Yes.
which is why so many people don't do it.
I know. Because, for years, and it's so easy for people to do, to take the victim
Mhm.
mentality.
Right.
And I was not going to be a victim anymore. I'm not
Right.
a victim. I'm better than that. I'm not going to
hmm
be an equal to him and what he did to
hmm
me. I'm going to
hmm
rise above. And I think that
Yeah.
when you tap into your personal spirituality and your inner soul, that's how you rise above.
Yeah.
That's how you
Absolutely.
overcome it.
Yeah. I love that. And I mean, again, it's the only way to be truly free.
Yeah.
Where does forgiveness fall into play here?
Oh man, that is such a tough one.
Mm,
Um, I would have forgiven my brothers.
I
I
know.
really would have,
Mm.
but I don't think that's in the cards for me. And I'm okay with that.
I love that answer. I
Thank
love
you.
that answer because so many people are like, well, you're not going to move on unless you forgive. And I'm like, I kind of disagree.
Yeah.
I kind of think that, like, the way you have chosen to move forward is a form of forgiveness. And maybe the person that we have to forgive the most is ourselves, right?
Yes, exactly. When I told my daughter the story, I mean, here she was 25 years old. I'm mortified thinking my children are going to hate me. They're
Mhm.
going to be disgusted by me. And the
Oh.
first thing my daughter said to me was, Mom, I love you. I believe you. I
Mhm.
hear you, but I also hear you need to forgive yourself.
Yeah.
And that was amazing to hear from my daughter. And she was right. We have to forgive ourselves first.
And then if we can't forgive the perpetrator,
I think you just have to take your own agency and move forward with what you can do.
hmm
Forgiving my brother wasn't in the cards. After I got sued, how
yeah,
can you forgive being
right.
thrust? And he put me through my trauma a second
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and what is forgiveness anyway? Which I'm like going on a tangent, but we could sit here all day and philosophize. Philosophize. I don't know how you say that word, but you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's an interesting thing to think about for people who, yeah, who have had bad things done to them or who have done bad things, wrong things themselves. I mean, we kind of, it's interesting. So let's move on to, with how to survive survival. I use this framework, RISE framework. We reckon with the situation, right? We identify the impact. We seek meaning in it all to help us bear really the pain, and then we embody the purpose. And people have a myriad of ways of doing that. And from my perspective and what I see, it seems to me that you're very much embodying the purpose. But I'd love for you to share with those who are listening, like what that means to you and what that has felt like, that experience, and what that looks like for you now as you're moving into this great expansive space of like really telling your story from like big places and an open heart and really sharing so vulnerably. Your book comes out in April 2nd. It comes out, Shattering Silence, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But um, what does the embodiment feel like in this time?
Well, you're right. I mean, writing the book for me is incredibly scary
Yeah,
because I am so vulnerable.
yeah,
I am book wide open.
yeah.
But I just felt like, in order to see the good in me, in order to see my purpose, in order to see why I am who I am today,
Mhm.
you had to see the messy. You had to
Yeah.
see the brokenness, all
Yeah.
the pain that I carried and
Mhm.
what I endured in order to move my life forward.
Mhm.
And I just feel like now I am volunteering with so many different organizations, and people have no idea how common sibling sexual trauma and abuse is. And
Yeah.
part of my mission is to get the word out,
Yeah.
to have parents talk to their little boys and girls and say, yeah, there's stranger danger, but we need to talk about the danger in our own home.
Yes.
You know, 1 in 20 children are currently getting abused by an older brother or sister. That's as common as a food allergy.
I
Like,
mean, that's
people don't know
terrifying.
that.
That's terrifying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what kind of volunteering are you doing? What kind of organizations?
So I volunteer with many organizations, Five Waves, which
Mhm.
specializes in SSTA. There's about three that do all over the world. So Five Waves, SSTA aware,
Mhm.
incest aware, thriving survivors out of the UK, and Blue Borage out of Australia are
Mhm.
all talking about SSTA.
Mhm.
On my website, there are multiple resources. If any of your listeners have experienced SSTA or even know someone they want to help. Like I
Yeah.
said, my girlfriends helped me
Yeah.
If you just want to help somebody else just get through this, there are resources. And I want your listeners to know I thought I was all alone for 58 years. There
Mhm.
are sadly millions of men and women that this has happened to. So
Mhm.
know that you're not alone. And that's part of my mission to make this a common word so that people aren't afraid to talk about and little children can
Mhm.
go to their parents and parents
Mhm.
actually prevent it from happening in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, if that isn't making meaningful contribution and turning your pain into purpose, I mean, I really don't know what is. I just like, um, I'm so encouraged and inspired by you. You know, it's just, I think it's so easy for people who have been hurt so badly in such a, an really unspeakable way to continue to live under the or behind the curtain of shame, and you have just like ripped that curtain in half and said, no, no sir, no ma'am, I'm not doing that. And also I'm going to bring you along with me. I'm going to blaze this trail so that others don't have to, oh my gosh, be in so much pain. I think it's
Mhm.
so commendable. um Tell us a little bit about your book and how we can support you and connect with you, and what you need from us, from your listeners.
Oh, that's awesome. So, my book is called Shattering Silence, a story of survival, justice, and the power of telling the truth.
Mhm.
It is, as you said, being released on Amazon on April 2nd, 2026. And really, the way to support me is buy the book. It'll be in all formats, but it's more than just supporting me. It's really
Mhm.
supporting all the people out there.
Mhm.
Because my book is more than just for survivors.
Mhm.
As you talked about, it's really for anybody who's had someone try to block their purpose, their
Mhm.
joy, their voice. If
Mhm.
you're ever wondering what it's like or how you can move forward when you're walking on those shards of glass,
Mhm.
my book is for you.
Mhm.
And I have a website, Darlene-Lekowski.com, and Instagram at Darlene Lekowski. So you can follow me any there. And then I'm launching my public speaking tour in 2027 as a motivational speaker because I don't want
Mhm.
to stop here.
Yeah, amazing. So what are the things that you're going to speak about?
We're honing in on the speaking right now. So of
Mhm.
course I'm going to have a speech for survivors. How do
Sure.
you get through it? But one of the premises I'm really looking at is everybody has a box. Everybody
Mm.
has a secret.
Yeah.
Boxes aren't good for you. And
Mhm.
only by opening up your box can you let hope in, can you let purpose in, can you let joy in. So
Mhm.
what's in your box?
Mhm.
How do you open the box
Mhm.
and live a more meaningful life? That's really what it's all about, right, Jess?
Yes, it is 100%. And here we are both walking out our purpose outside of the box. I feel so when I get off these conversations, I just feel so lucky to get to be a part of learning and feeling understood actually in a way as another survivor of
Hmm.
life. And I just thank you so much for your strength and of character and your time and the energy that it takes to come on here and to go back into that place, right? Like, because
Yeah.
every single time you do it, it's hard. It's hard every single time. I've been telling my story for 14 years and I still can't get through it without choking up at some point, you know? It's
Yeah.
never not going to be hard, but that doesn't mean we aren't healed. And so I thank you for being a model, especially for those who may think that staying silent is their only option. I really do think in this time and place in history in the world right now, we need examples. And so, yeah, I'm just so grateful you're here.
Oh, thank you so much. And, I would end it with every one of your listeners should know it's never too late to tell your story. It took
Yeah.
me 50 years. Stop living with your secret if you have one and open up the box. So
Yeah.
thank you, Jess. I really, really loved being on your show and I really appreciate you and your time.
Well, it was my pleasure and honor. Thank you for listening to How to Survive Survival. If you found something meaningful here, I'd ask for you to subscribe, share, or leave a 5-star review so these conversations can reach others who are walking their own road back. You can learn more about me and my work at www.jessbuchanan.com. And until next time, remember, what happened to you is only part of the story. What you choose to do with it is where your power lives.